Hello again and welcome to Ndudu by Fafa. Thank you again, gorgeous folks, for tuning in for another episode with Fafa. Now, we are continuing the WAAKYE stew series. Now, what is WAAKYE stew? Now, WAAKYE in itself is a rice and beans dish that is usually served with this perfectly spiced rich tomato stew. Yes, and this is synonymous with the northerners from Ghana. Now, when it comes to spices and flavors, hands off, they do it really well. And so this dish is definitely inspired by them. Now, I'll leave a link in the description box below so you can emulate this recipe because it's the base for most of the recipes that I'll be making. Now, in the first episode of the WAAKYE stew series, I made the garden egg stew. Yes, which was such an incredible and easy dish to make. Now, considering majority of us are working from home, I was just thinking about budget-sensitive recipes that one could make. And of course, having the WAAKYE stew would go a long way. So I'll leave yet again a link in the description box below, and as well as I'll pin it at the top so you can actually watch how to make the garden egg stew. Now, from the garden egg stew, I then made the garden eggs and okra stew. So yet again, it meant that with just a little few ingredients, you could just turn the garden egg stew into an amazing stew again. Yes. Now, the third recipe, which is this one, is using the remaining garden egg stew for a quick lunch. Now, if this is your first time, you're welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yes, please don't forget to click the subscribe button whilst you're here and the notification button. Yes, so that you do not miss any future videos. Don't forget to also like the video and leave your comments as well. I do appreciate that. 100,000 subscribers and over. Me love you, my notification gang and my loyal subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's make this amazing lunch. Under normal circumstances, I would have loved to have used the Ghanaian cheese known as WAAKYE, but here in the diaspora, the one that I have access to is Halloumi, which is the closest, I would say. Or maybe you can try paneer, yes. Now, paneer is also an Indian cheese. Anyway, I've sliced it lengthways, as you can tell, and then I've got my ripened plantain. You can tell now that this ripened plantain is a lockdown ripened plantain because the bottom half of it is slightly overripened, so I'll leave that for another recipe. And then I'm just using the remaining half and I'll be cutting this lengthways. Now, please do take all necessary precautions when you're dealing with any sharp objects. You're supposed to enjoy the food and not cut yourself. Absolutely. So once that I've got that, I'm just going to place my saucepan on a medium to high heat and I'm just going to add my preferred oil. And then I'm going to fry the plantain, of course. I will then discard majority of the oil. And when I say discard, I mean I'm not throwing it away. I'm just going to reserve it in another container and use it for another recipe when it requires it. And then the little bit that is left, I will use that in frying the halloumi. Yes. So this is such an easy dish to make, but also equally rewarding, especially if you're working from home as well. And everybody would love it. Now, a bit about the flavors. So, garden eggs has the sour taste anyway. But of course, when you cook it, the sourness reduces. And of course, I've infused it with the WAAKYE stew, which gives it that little sweetness as well and the spiciness that it requires. And then we've got the halloumi, which of course, that is also salty. So you've got that sour, salty taste and that little spicy taste coming through from the WAAKYE stew. So the best thing is to then add your ripened plantain because that would offer that sweetness and that balances it. That's the yin and yang thing going on. So now that I've fried my plantain, as I mentioned, I was just going to reserve some of the oil and then the little bit that is left, I'll quickly fry the halloumi. I did fry the plantain for about 3 minutes on each side and the halloumi only needs about 2 minutes. Because if you overcook it, it becomes rubbery or it just becomes like really hard and it's not nice to enjoy. To the same saucepan, add your garden egg stew and warm it through for 2 to 3 minutes. The next thing is I'm just going to tackle my tortilla wrap. Now, when you start wrapping anything, your first experience is always going to be dodgy. The sauce that I'm using here is the egg mayonnaise that I used in making my Togolese spaghetti salad. I'd leave a link in the top or also in the description box so that you can watch how to make yours. So here, of course, you've seen that I've added the garden egg stew, the halloumi, and then the plantain. And I'm attempting to wrap this, yes. The first experience is always a dodgy experience. But you see, it's just with everything in life. When you start in something, yes, you do, it might be on a shaky ground, but you keep going at it and you get better with time. That's all. Time, patience, and a passion for what you do. That's the secret, really. And then I've wrapped it. So I'm just going to repeat this again. And I think I learned from the first experience, I was like, okay, I'd rather add the garden egg stew, then the halloumi, and then the plantain before I then add my egg mayonnaise to it. And now when I wrapped it this time round, it was much easier. So you see, you make a mistake, you would find a better way of doing it the next time. So it's about learning about your mistakes. And there we go. We've wrapped it really, really well. So here I've got 4 wraps ready. And to that, I'm also going to place my griddle pan on a high heat because I'm just going to sear it. Yes, it's almost like you're toasting it in a way. And I do love like having the sort of griddle marks over it. Yes, it's best to place the bottom part down, which is where the seal is, so you can seal the entrance to your wrap. Yes, and of course this has to be on a high heat. Now, majority of the time when you do that, it seals it perfectly, and sometimes it doesn't. But you know what? You will find a way, just as I did. Cooking is fun, you know. Recipes are guides to guide you, to inspire you. Oh, this is what I can make with my little bijou thing that I have. Wraps are inexpensive. They're readily available in most supermarkets across here in the UK. So yes, it's such an easy thing to make. And as you can tell with this, it was just being a naughty girl. But thankfully, everything was still intact. But yeah, you could just see the griddle marks. That just makes it incredible. What say you? Yeah. This is not any other voodoo. This is Ndudu by Fafa. The what's and all. The reality of creating a recipe is not always going to be perfect, but you always get it as close as you can to the recipe. So here we have it. Now, have I given you that reason to like the video and to click the subscribe button if you haven't done so, and the notification button so you do not miss any future videos? If I have, please do so. And if you like what you see, please don't forget to like the video and leave your comments below and share with your family and friends. So guess what? Lunch is ready with your leftovers, and you can be as creative as you want with this dish. Now, naturally, I'd leave the list of ingredients and measurements on my blog ndudubyfafa.blogspot.com, and it would also be linked in the description box below. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook as Ndudu by Fafa. So pass by and say hi. Norel, thank you very much for my theme song. And until my next video, please take care of you, and I love you for you.